Hi, everyone. I am Wendy Watson with To Be Revealed Live. I created this podcast because there's an infinite number of ways for people to define spirituality for themselves. I love Deepak Chopra's definition where religion is the community's relationship with God and spirituality is your own individual relationship. Now, whatever that means to you, define that for yourself, all the things. Um, and I do ask that you listen with an open heart and an open mind because it takes a lot of courage and vulnerability for our guests to talk about their spiritual journey and on public, right? And this is going to be posted online for everybody to view. So, it takes a lot of courage and vulnerability. And so I really ask you to just, honor this person's journey, listen with an open mind, open heart, and just, take what you need, discard the rest, and yeah, and just honor that. So today we have Miss Debi Voris. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Debbie. I'm a certified holistic health coach, and I do guide people to revitalize their health and many aspects of their health, mind, body, and soul. And pretty much with my own transformation, that's given me the passion to give people holistic solutions.
Yeah. So let's start with the big question. What does spirituality mean to you? How do you define that for yourself?
And this is one question that, for me, it's kind of awkward. Like you said, everybody's spiritual path is different.
Mhm.
Um, I was born into a household where my father was Catholic, my mother was Baptist, and they decided not to bring. I think they might have brought up my sister with, Catholicism. She was because she was in a Catholic school, but everybody else wasn't brought up with any religion, and I didn't know what I was really missing. But for some reason, I always knew I was being guided by some divine source. And throughout my life, I learned about different religions, um, even ancient religions. And I always was fascinated by the Romans and Greeks and sometimes the Celtics, as well as, I actually was a videographer at one time. And I did corporate video and also did weddings. And I experienced many different religious ceremonies for weddings, and it was interesting how all that was coming about in my life and how it relates to everything else I was learning. And at one time, we went to Salt Lake City. We went to the Mormon temple, and my parents, for some reason, bought a Book of Mormon that I glanced at. I didn't really read, but I kind of glanced at it. Um, Being in a school that was primarily I went to Beverly Hills High School, and because my mom taught there, and there's a lot of people that are Jewish, so that's another area that I was exposed to different religions. But I was never brought up with anything. But later on in life, with my path and my journey with my business and my health and everything else, I always knew things just kind of landed in my lap for a reason, and I was being guided by the divine.
Yeah. So
So
is there one definition that you've been able to cultivate?
divine guidance.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
divine guidance, definitely.
I love that. So let's talk about your childhood. You were raised by both Catholicism and baptism. What was that like?
Well, they didn't really give us an experience of Catholicism or baptism, but the Baptist. But I guess it was my grandmother that was very strict as being a Baptist. And later on, I found out that from my stepmother that my father was hated by my mother's mom, his mother-in-law. And
So who had the Catholicism and who had the Baptist?
my father was Catholic.
Okay, so it was the Baptist, and I'm not categorizing anything, you guys. I'm just asking clarifying questions so that we understand the dynamic that's going on.
Yeah, and I was really too young. My siblings were separated, it's interesting, exactly 5 1/4 years apart.
Okay.
So my sister, who is the oldest, is 10 1/2 years older than me. And so I think with the first trial, it was like, well, this is not working out. And for for my brother and me, they never interfaced us with religion. I don't know about my brother because he never talked about it, and he passed away, when he was 57.
Mm.
So he's very a private individual. So was my
Mhm.
sister. And so my sister ended up becoming a Buddhist. So she obviously
Okay.
didn't relate to that upbringing.
She didn't relate to either of those, or
No.
yeah, she went in a totally different direction.
That might be why, maybe the conflict between the two, and maybe, the maternal grandmother, was an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time I came around, I was being that I call the caboose of the train. They really didn't pay attention to me much, and I never really got in trouble. So they didn't really, it wasn't an issue for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was really involved with arts and crafts, and my mom would just give me some kind of project to do, and I was very good at it. And but I recently talked about this on my podcast. I was always a creative soul, and I still am.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for instance, I think it's middle school, where you study the Civil War here in the United States. And I actually created a puppet show based on Gone with the Wind. I created the
Oh.
puppets, I created backdrops, I created the puppet stand out of a refrigerator box, and I presented it, and of course I got an A. And then that refrigerator box that was transported from Encino to Beverly Hills, when I was surprised I made it,
Yeah.
was kept as a plaything for the kindergarten, because it was at Beverly Vista, it was K through 8th grade.
Uh-huh.
And so, and they utilized it after that. But my whole point is I always did things out of the box creatively, whether it was dioramas made out of styrofoam, and I actually made rivers.
Oh.
So it was, I just actually just create things very, and I did that in elementary school. I was very visually oriented and wanted to make things look like water, wanted to make things look um, like a real scene. And matter of
Mm-hmm.
fact, talking about Latin, I translated Latin and things like that. And that's why I knew about Greek and Roman mythology. I actually made a terrarium scene of Aeneas finding the golden bough with
Oh.
real plants, and I still have this little Roman soldier. And of course, I got a first place prize for this. I also I created now a lot of people don't realize this because Isis has really been misrepresented lately due to the news, but Isis was the Roman goddess for the rainbow. So I actually
Mm-hmm.
made a costume with a rainbow underneath the arms for Isis. So as something to dress up in. So anyways, I sewed, I did everything. I was very artsy craftsy. I did a lot of mixed media as an adult for scrapbooking and things like that. Creativity has always been my passion, and it's gotten me through my life.
So, how does creativity relate to your spirituality?
It's interesting. When I was really kind of shifted off my original, job path, so to speak, because I had to take care of a mother and take care of a son who has had a lot of therapies as an infant, 20 hours of therapies, so to speak, a week.
Oof.
And my mom was declining of Alzheimer's.
Mhm.
I got depressed. I'm sorry, I just got depressed.
Yeah.
And the creativity of creating books for other people helped. But obviously that wasn't my main main thing in life because I was depressed. But when my husband saw my tears when I saw a photo of me where I gained 70 pounds, he got me a weight loss program for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did it, I cried. And my husband's like, well, why are you crying? I said, those are tears of joy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was committed to do it. I lost 50 pounds in 6 months. And but I was dead tired with energy. But something else came into my life at that time, which was, believe it or not, a company that sells holistic products, natural nutritional supplements.
Mm-hmm.
And I started taking it. Within 4 days, I had a natural sense of energy. I wasn't, going to sleep at 8 o'clock at night.
Right.
And then later on, I had foot problems my whole entire life from childhood to adulthood, which created arthritis in my foot. And the inflammation started subsiding, and I felt better. And it was painful for me to walk. I started running on a treadmill, and I've done 7 half marathons so far in my life. And this is what I mean. Something just kind of falls in my lap. And then I decided to become a certified holistic health coach. And it's been such a joy being able to help others revitalize their health.
Yes. I love that for you.
And
So you said that you met your husband, who you've been with for 38 years. So congratulations on that. And he was able to also play a role in your spiritual journey.
yes, he was brought up with religion too. And but he never paid attention. So when I had Jason and I started feeling I really needed to be baptized myself, and this is like, Jason was like maybe 9 or something like that. I just kept asking him, how can we have him baptize Jason? And he said, well, it wasn't a focus for him. But he was very supportive in what I wanted to do. And so I actually got baptized with my son.
Nice.
And it's up to my son what he wants to, and I told him that it's up to you what you want to do with this. I told him that, I wasn't brought up with any religion. I felt like there's something missing. And it was really important to me at that time. And during that journey, my brother passed away. So it really helped me because I took a course called Rooted, and it really helped me get through that.
So what made you want to get baptized?
Because I felt there was something missing, something wasn't right. And
okay.
but
of all the different options that are out there that that are out there because you studied the Greek and the Romans and kind of surface level on the Mormon, like why baptism? Like what was the calling?
I wasn't
there?
Baptist. I was Christian.
Okay.
And it was just, I went to this church with a friend, and I really enjoyed the music and everything else that was going on. And it was really interesting. The person that was the pastor in this church was really into what I was into. I was into Tony Robbins and things like that. And he sounded so much like Tony Robbins and everything he presented that I just was, he was really somebody I really looked up to in this particular church. And then I asked about the children's program, and they had a nice children's program. So I bring my son, and then we found out there were some friends that were also part of that church, and it just made it easier for my son. So, and actually this was a recommendation from a friend. So I just decided to go and check it out and things like that. So, and it was more than just one friend, my son, there's several of them. So it made it easier for him.
So all the signs kind of came in and kind of led you all into one place.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I love that. And how old was your son at the time?
I believe he was still in elementary school, or I think he was still in elementary school. So I said, he could have been 10 or 9 or around that age, maybe 11.
Okay. All right. And what walk me through that conversation, because I'm sure there's a lot of parents out there that are curious what that conversation sounds like in case they're willing, they're considering taking that journey with their kids.
Well, that conversation I had was, at least I knew one person in this church, and I experienced it, and then I brought Jason in. But you really, whenever it comes to any type of religion, you need to be comfortable with some kind of organization, and feel like you're at home. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not at home in that particular organization, whether it's a temple, whatever it is, a church, Mormon or King, Jewish, or whatever it is, you need to feel at home. And, it's interesting. I felt at home, that people were really welcoming, but, I don't know if you recently watched the Great Unknown. It's about Bob Dylan. He was brought up Jewish, and then he started, experiencing Christianity. So not that he was born again or anything like that. It's that he brought in his perspective because he had a feeling in him. And so I kind of brought in my perspective because I knew something was guiding me in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't quite understand it, and I wanted to understand it. And these people were so welcoming because I do not quote, and I to this day quote any Bible verses or anything like that. But every once in a while, I may do this what's called Russian roulette and look at the Bible. I'm like, oh, that kind of relates.
Okay.
And also,
You're using divine guidance to show you what you need out of the Bible. I love it.
yeah, and and Louise Hayes also is something I really get into, and sometimes I do that with her books. Oh, and it's so funny is I did that with my son with Louise Hayes. He was he was just like wowed about it. It was like, I can use that bit of nut. I can use that big and little bit. And it's, I don't know how that happens, but obviously it's divine guidance. And
Mm-hmm.
it's also how you are in tune to your body, your intuition, and if your
Mm-hmm.
soul's being guided.
Yeah.
And I got myself in a little bit of a funk again, and somebody was guiding me through what I needed to do. And as soon as I did that, all of a sudden I broke free, and things that were happening to me kind of just went away. I mean, even though I've done 7.5 marathons, I actually broke my foot in between. And I healed quickly, physically, but I had an imbalance, and I kept on like doing these silly falls. As soon as I released that fear, frustration, and doubt, which are low vibrational energies,
Mm-hmm.
I started, I started training for my half marathon, and I actually did my 7th, with more energy and gusto than I ever did. And also my business started to open up. So it's interesting how those things happen. And you just gotta trust in yourself that you have a soul that's seeking things, and wants to make you better, and wants to make you see the light. And ever since then, I've been connected in different ways. Everybody, has a spiritual team, and that's what people tell me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really new at this, but recently I've been seeing colors, and I'm like,
Okay.
wondering what the colors are all about. So I'm looking it up, and I'm like, wow, I'm beginning to, see things like, Archangel Michael is blue, things like that.
Okay.
And also, the Mother Mary is blue. So it's like, and then Raphael is green. So,
Okay.
I would see guidance for healing and things like that, or leadership, and I've been, and also not being a person that was brought up with praying. Praying is just something I've been doing for the last, several years. And it's a great way to release your tension and connection to some traumatic event, or things are not going right, and just being willing to just flow with
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting when you take the time to be quiet and be with yourself and hear what's being sent to you and whatever guidance you're getting from whatever source it is that you believe in. So let's go back to the last question, which was, what conversation did you have with your son, and what did that look like prior to getting baptized together that led up to that?
I asked him if he wanted, I asked him first if he wanted to go to this church with his friends.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I said, "Do you want to be baptized?" He said, he didn't even really know what it meant, I think,
Yeah.
but he did. And I said, "We'll do it together." And he was fine with it. He just went with it. Does that
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. So would you say, like, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but would you say that he was also kind of feeling a calling for it, or he was just following your leadership?
I don't know. I think he was just
Okay.
following my leadership and being a very loyal son. When they're younger, they're more, I hate to say
Yeah.
the word, but they're more moldable.
Yeah.
And as they get in the 20s, they're a little bit more like, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm dealing with now. But
Yeah.
he because he's like a know-it-all. But
In
he
your 20s, you have a tendency to think that you know
yeah,
everything.
but he is really a smart kid. He's getting straight A's. He's doing
Oh,
dual
yeah.
degrees, and he's going to do a master's. So he's very talented with the clarinet. So he has a music performance
Hmm.
degree and a aerospace degree.
Man, little
And
smarty pants.
he's a brainiac. He's a smart
Yeah.
kid.
So
Um,
how did getting baptized together, how did that transform your relationship, or what was your relationship like after the baptism?
well, I gotta tell you, I don't know if it really transformed our relationship,
Mhm.
but I know that we've always been close, even though we disagree. Um, we still, he still is there, and I'm being a stronger parent right now because there's certain things I need to, get through his head.
Mhm.
But I said it's up to you, and I said, I love you. Just remember that.
Mhm.
And that he's always been someone that, as a child, was did the things that we wanted him to do.
Okay.
He
So
actually got his Eagle Scout and all this black belt karate. He was very driven as a child, very driven.
sounds like he still is.
Yeah, well, he has
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. So you were brought up with baptism and Catholicism. You ended up getting baptized as Christianity.
Mhm.
And how has that propelled your spiritual journey since you've been baptized for you?
Well, like I said before, pretty much, made me a little bit more aware of the divine.
Mhm.
It helped me a lot through my brother's passing away. Oh, I didn't even tell you this.
So let's focus on that for a little bit. How did it help you with processing your brother's passing?
Well, before my brother passed away, and this is which was really amazing that it happened. My brother was in a coma. All of a sudden, a song played. We both worked for a company for ABC that did promo spots for ABC. And the promo was We're the One. And that song, which I hadn't heard for econs, played on the radio in the hospital room.
Oh, oh, I
And
just got chills.
yeah, and so I was talking to Michael. I said, "Oh, that's Here the One." And I started, going, "You remember the campaign with Fernando Lamas and the, the car and all this other stuff, and with Here the One." And there was two campaigns, Still the One, We're the One.
Hmm.
So all of a sudden, my brother started mouthing, "I'm okay." And I looked at him. He did it again. "I'm okay." And I'm like,
Like, you're in a coma. What is happening right
yeah.
now?
And during that time, I was going through the Rooted series,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay. And then he ended, a few weeks later, maybe 3 weeks later, he came out of that coma. It looked like he was going to turn around. He decided to become a Greek Orthodox because of his first marriage. And I guess, somebody talked to him and things like that. But for some reason, he decided that his life wasn't worth it. I don't know. If someone wants to pass away, they want to pass away. He had in hospice. And I sat there in the room by himself. And it was really hard to see his family cry, his daughters cry, his wife cried, everyone cried. I actually got an old family friend that was more like a mother to us than our own mother, to come down to talk to him as well. And then the nurse, and I've been through this people being in hospice before. My mom's been in hospice before. My mom was in hospice for 7 months, believe it or not.
Yeah. That's a while.
She was holding on for my sister, I think.
Okay.
And I looked at my brother and I got the sense I don't want to live anymore. And so I, possibly my sister-in-law didn't like what I did, but I brought her in saying, and this is regarding my sister again, right?
Yeah.
I said, it's okay, we will take care of her together. And my sister-in-law called me the next day and he passed away. He was really not wanting to live anymore. And I'm just looking at him, I don't even know if his body, because he was on a list for a liver transplant, and then he decided to do, make it worse. And my whole point is that it was a really sad time. And when I got the call, I was somewhere else, about to go to a convention, and I cried my eyes out. And one person that was actually at this convention that was helping me through this too, I just saw her and I said, I need to hug you. And I told her what happened. So it's interesting how this whole thing, there's always somebody being brought to you to help you. I mean, she was helping me before to explain to me what was going on with my brother. She was brought to me, that day when I got the news. And, I scanned every photo of my brother and my family so that his family could have pictures for his memorial. And I was crying throughout the whole darn thing.
Yeah.
I eventually got over it. Grief is something that you need to go through, that crying phase, letting go phase. And then, realize that, he really, for some reason, didn't want to live anymore.
Yeah. So is that how your spirituality helped you to get through the mourning process?
Yes, it
Is
did.
by bringing the people that you needed around you to ask to be. So I want to say that I was asked yesterday what love means to me, and it's really being open to give and being open to receive.
Yes.
And what I love about your story is that you were open to receive in order to help you process. And by giving them the gift of giving, giving you what you need, there's that reciprocity of love that's involved. And so I want to recognize that for a moment, because it's really important I think, for people to hear. When we are in those times of need, whether it's depression, whether it's loss, any of those things, it's really important to be able to ask for what we need and to be able to be open to receive it once it's been brought to us. And so I really love that about your story, and that you were able to receive that love from that person so that you could heal and choose how to move forward from your loss.
Yes.
And so that's what I'm hearing is a lot about your spiritual journey
Mhm.
is having those interactions, paying attention to the intuition and the divine wisdom that's coming through, or the divine guidance that's coming through for you, and really recognizing when it's a thought, when it's an emotion, or when it's guidance. Is my perception correct?
Yes, because sometimes when you reflect back to what happened during those times, you realize it's amazing. You know, this person was in the hallway when I walked in the hall. The first person I saw when I found out about the news.
Mm-hmm.
And she was trying to help me explain to me what was going on. It's amazing that that whole thing where I got it, he spoke to me while he was in a coma and then he came out of it. I just wish he really wanted to live when he came out of it.
Right. Those sometimes those are our wishes
Mhm.
versus theirs. And I love that you honor his wish to not want to and to choose to transition. So I hold that for you. I hold that space for you right now. Um, are there any other adversities that your spirituality was able to help you through?
Well, believe it or not, 6 months later, my mother-in-law passed away. I never thought
And
I'd
that
be,
is his mother,
it's
your mother-in-law.
it's
Okay.
my mother-in-law, so it's my
Hmm.
husband's mom.
Yeah.
And excuse me, because I'm kind of
I
um
appreciate the raw and the
yeah,
vulnerability in your emotions. So thank you so much for sharing those.
yeah. You know, I mentioned before that I was able to bring somebody down that was more like a mother to us.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think my mom knew to be a mother. I don't think anybody knows how to be a parent. And I'm just going to tell you that, okay? But my mother-in-law, when I married my husband, I realized, oh, this is what a mother's going to be like. Because I had no idea. It wasn't like I was a child and I resented my mom, da 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 da. No, I just was like a happy-go-lucky kid, okay? Not knowing that my mom, you know, wasn't the best mom in the whole world. And she wasn't abusive. It's just, like I said, she put me doing projects. But anyways, my mother-in-law was more like a mother. She would like send me cards and birthday cards and all this other stuff. You know, my mom never thought about that. That's probably the best way to put it.
Hmm. Okay. That wasn't her love language.
And that wasn't her love language exactly.
Okay.
And so when she passed away, I had to make it clear to my husband, I miss your mom just as much as you do. And she passed away 6 months after my brother passing away.
Hmm.
So it was a double whammy.
Sure.
And you know, we went, you know, my husband and I went through some things, but we finally resolved them to understand that I missed her just as much as he did.
Yeah.
And I do miss her to this day because not that she was a referee between me and my husband. For some reason, I think she was trying to look out for me for some reason. And things kind
Or
of settled, you know?
yeah, or maybe she's just trying to help you with the communication process.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, I love that. And I know that she transitions, but I also know that you believe in divine guidance. So, is there any time like, and I don't know why I feel called to ask this question, so I'm just going to ask it. With either your brother or your mother-in-law, that you still talk to them today?
Yes. I still talk to well, me and my mom and dad and my brother have passed away.
Hmm.
So I still talk to and you know, my brother every once in a while, my father, for some reason, I talk to the most. He's almost like a guardian angel when he first passed away. Um, even though we
That
weren't, he
fatherly love.
you know, my whole point is he traveled a lot when I was little, I was hardly ever there, but and my parents separated. So but my whole point is um I felt more of a connection to him for some reason, maybe because he was so
Hmm.
distant. Um, but you know, I do pray to them, or not pray, or talk to them, you know,
Mhm.
and, and every once in a while I could, I pass a memorial poster I made for my brother and I say, I wish you didn't pass away because you could have, seen your girls grow up and things like that.
Yeah.
But my whole point is that, there's some difficult situations in my life right now, you know, with an external family member, and it's made me stronger
Hmm.
and know that I'm doing the right thing. And
Yeah.
with my mother-in-law, um, I I don't really, think of her as much as I thought I would, but
Mm.
she, I think, is there supporting me. Um, and you know, I got to admit that she was, a really good mother-in-law and
Yeah.
very supportive.
Yeah. I love that. So, being in the season that you're in life, how do you see your spiritual journey going forward?
I see it expanding because, like I said, I recently feel like I have an angel team, uh,
Hmm.
and I'm learning to communicate with them.
Yeah.
And it's always a process of learning, or just being able to know how to be guided in a certain way. Um, Now, what I believe is my belief.
Hmm.
Everyone can believe whatever they want.
Right.
And one thing I teach people, when they with my mindset coaching, is that it's important not to judge yourself against others.
Yes.
Also, don't judge. Don't be so hard on yourself, because what works for me may not work for you.
That's right.
And
And
you
what
need to,
works for me isn't going to work for you or anybody else.
and if you're not religious, that's fine.
This is the whole purpose of me doing these shows,
Uh,
is so that people can see that there's an infinite number of ways to be able to have a relationship with whatever it is that who or whatever it is that they believe in, and to take ownership of their own personal journey with that,
mhm,
and to find strength
mhm.
and all of that. Whether you believe in Vishnu or Freya or Allah or Jesus or nothing, and you're an atheist, I honor that journey for everybody. And so I appreciate you saying that, because that is the goal for these shows.
Yeah, I mean, don't judge other people,
Mm-hmm.
because I've been exposed to different things. Not that I
Mm-hmm.
went to these temples or churches or things like that, but my whole point is that there's a reason why we, seek the divine,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever way you're going to seek the divine is up to you. And because it's it is a great way to release your angst, so to speak.
Okay.
And also to be able to foster your own growth. And life is, you're meant to learn and grow. You're meant to, what I call, well, people call it failures, but it's really it's not really a failure. It's just something to learn upon and to do better with in the future.
Yeah. So
So
what I'm hearing is that by following your divine guidance and establishing your relationships with what you believe in has helped you personally with your angst and all of these things, and that's what you're hoping other people will take from this?
yes, and you're going to grow, no matter what. And no matter what the level of your connection is or what you're doing, you're going to grow, and you're going to be more at ease, happier, and know what you need to do in life.
I love that. And on that note, I hope you guys enjoyed this show today. Thank you so much, Debbie, for being so courageous and sharing your story with us today. Please comment, like below, and give us your thought on this show. I'd love to hear what you thought about Debbie's journey and how it's helped you in any way, shape, or form, or maybe it's given you some insights into your own journey. So thank you again, Debbie, for being on. And I look forward to seeing all of your guys' thoughts and shares. And make sure to like this episode.
And thank you for having me.
Yes, you're welcome. And we will see you guys in a few weeks.